Protect yourself and your family from unexpected challenges. Consider accident-only income protection. Click the link in the description to find out more.
Boxing King Media in association with SaveMoreMoney.com. Gareth A. Davies. Gareth, I appreciate your time. It's a Monday, and what a weekend of boxing. I could pick out so many, but I want to ask you, Gareth, there were so many big moments for British boxers on Saturday. Which one stood out for you the most?
Well, it's got to be Nathan Heaney. You know, living the dream, dreaming it into reality. Super kid. 360 miles he drives around Stoke to drop off his tickets to his fans, walks into Delilah. They love him, his fans. He's an unsung hero, fighting a guy in Denzel Bentley who's already fought at world level and acquitted himself very well against Yanibek Alim Kanuli in Vegas. I think the level of performance that Heaney put in as an underdog was extraordinary. He clearly won the fight by a couple of rounds. He was so impressive. Self-belief, you see, that's so important in all aspects in life, and particularly in those 6 inches here, that when boxers and fighters truly believe they can make the impossible possible and the improbable probable and make things happen. And that's what he did on Saturday night. He's my fighter of the week, no question at all. And look at the fights he may now have. You look at the other middleweights in the UK, the likes of Felix Cash, Liam Williams, Liam Smith, Linus Odafia. There's loads of great fights for him. And he's begging Frank Warren, not begging, but he's asking Frank Warren for a world title fight next year. You can't write him off now. I didn't know if Nathan had world level in him. Like, he's a superb guy. I've interviewed him on many, many occasions now. And I'm incredibly impressed by what he did at the weekend.
What shocked you the most? Was it Nathan's performance, or was it Denzel not doing a lot, or was he just neutralized with everything he was trying to do? Because I think I saw Nathan said in an interview he was 12-1 to win, which is literally like you've got no chance. That normally means you're getting knocked out in 3-4 rounds.
Well, I did think Denzel Bentley would give him massive issues. I mean, I went for a stoppage for Bentley, but as they were saying, he became Devon Heaney on Saturday night. He showed that was Sam Jones's line, by the way, the manager Sam Jones, a great line. Heaney was just spectacular. Movement, skills, didn't let Bentley out the box. Maybe he underestimated him a little bit. I know Heaney got under Denzel Bentley's skin a little bit with an interview with me on Friday in the Talk Sports podcast special, where he said that what Heaney was telling himself was that Bentley had lost at British level and he'd lost at world level before, and that's where he'd gone mentally with that in his own mind. And Denzel was annoyed by that, actually, when I put that to him. He said it lit a fire under him, but that fire didn't burn brightly enough for him on Saturday night. It just shows how dangerous an underdog can be when they believe. You know, Tyler Denny, again on Saturday night, you know, him winning was that the European middle? I think it was.
Yeah, the EBU
title.
I said to Errol Johnson about that, Gareth. I said, Errol, you've got to make that fight. Two local rivals, they've sparred each other. It just makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And look, we're in a time, and if they make Lee Wood and Joe Cordina as well, we're in a time where there's a lot of activity in all British fights. There's a lot of activity around fandom in boxing at the moment in the UK. It's a brilliant environment. You might only get 12, 15,000 there for some of these fights, but the atmosphere and the ambience is incredible. And I think, you know, we've got to capitalize on those things. And again, I thought Tyler's performance at the weekend was fantastic. Weird kind of stoppage, but I don't think his foe wanted to go on. I was impressed with Adam Azim, brilliant shots to the body. He predicted, didn't he, with Franck Petitjean, that he was going to do that to him. He said, he poked him at the weigh-in where he wouldn't shake hands, said, well, I'm going to get you to the body. He lived up to that with that beautiful, short, chopping, it was a left uppercut, wasn't it, that put him down, first of all, made him genuflect in the ring. Adam's very impressive. Adam Azim, 10 performances now, European super lightweight champion. Onwards and upwards for him. All round, it's been an incredible week for boxing all round, really.
You know what? I think it's probably the best week in boxing of this year, I'd say, for the announcements, press conferences, what happened for the British fighters. But before I move on to the next thing, I've got to get you to say Petitjean again, because the way you said it was so French.
Franck Petitjean. Nous parlons français, c'est vachement bien.
Yeah, you clearly speak French. I've got to speak to you about this Anthony Joshua, Ben Davison link up. Obviously, Eddie Hearn did an interview a few months ago, and he basically was saying, oh, he's just ticking over. He's not going to be training there. He's going to go across to Derek James. Obviously, AJ, to my knowledge, didn't really do many interviews on the press conference last week. We didn't see Ben there. But then the following day, we saw AJ put something up on his Snapchat training with Ben. And then we saw Ben put a picture up of him training AJ in his gym. And that kind of seems like some sort of announcement, would you say?
Yeah, maybe. I've been a friend and a close ally of Ben Davison for a long time. You know, I first ran into Ben 7 years ago, nearly, out in Marbella, where he was training Billy Joe Saunders and was bringing Tyson Fury back at the time when he weighed 400 odd pounds or whatever it was. I hope I haven't gone too far there with the weight, but he was 28, 29 stone. And Ben's always impressed me. He's an old head on young shoulders. I think it's brilliant what he does with his boxers. I've visited his gym many times. I find him very impressive. He's an intelligent, caring soul who loves his boxing. I think he's highly intelligent. He lives and breathes the sport. And knowing Ben as I do, I think he'd be a great addition to Anthony Joshua's stable. As much for Anthony Joshua loves to get involved into the intellectual side of the sport as well. And I think psychologically, emotionally, mentally, all those factors, all very good for Anthony Joshua at this stage. As this discussion about where he is mentally is on everyone's lips, not least after that fascinating documentary the other day that Louis Theroux did with him.
What do you make of Ben as the coach that he's picked? Because obviously, you know, in this industry, AJ could run into any gym and pick any trainer if he wants, but he's picked Ben Davison as the guy. What do you make of that as a pick, considering all the options that were probably potentially out there for him?
Well, look at what Ben's done. Look at what he's done with Tyson. Look at what he did with Tyson Fury. Brought him back from the brink. Lived with him for 11 months in his home in Morecambe. Never left him to his own devices. Really helped to curate him back into greatness. You know, he and Billy Joe Saunders had an amazing relationship. Look what he's done with Lee Woods. You know, I think he's got the McCormacks with him. Ben's a great guy. Ben is a great guy to be with and around. And, you know, I just think he really cares about his boxers. And I think he will enhance Anthony Joshua. There's no question about it. He will enhance what Anthony Joshua is and what he can do. I think it's a great choice. And also it saves Joshua. I don't know what the scenario is with Derek James as well. Maybe when he goes to the States, he's going to work with Derek James. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be with one coach. He can work different things with Ben Davison. He's based in Harlow. Just kind of 40 minutes down the road from me. Harlow's, if Anthony Joshua is based in central London, it's a 45-minute drive to go to training camp. So I think it's tick, tick, tick.
Yeah, definitely. So I spoke to Johnny and Johnny Nelson. And
Johnny Nelson.
I
Is there only one Johnny?
Well, which other Johnnies is there? I'm trying to think. Depends what kind of Johnnies are you thinking about.
Johnny Tapia?
Yeah.
I love Johnny Tapia.
Might struggle getting Johnny Tapia. So I met Johnny at the boxer show on Saturday, and I spoke to him, and he basically said his analogy was I think he was being genuine. He said that he thinks that AJ might be saving money to train with Davison, and I said, does he really look at that? Because he's a multimillionaire. Surely, I can't. Obviously, I don't know, but I did argue the point. Why would Anthony Joshua look at money to train with Ben? I had a scenario. I don't know if this is true, but obviously it's Texas, and to my understanding, Derek James is training Ryan Garcia for a December fight. And if AJ went there for a few weeks, then you'd have to acclimatize to a plus 10-hour time difference in Saudi in literally 5 weeks. Could that be a factor? The thing is, we don't know any of these. All questions because they've not made any announcement. And also,
I think that's very sensible. Yeah, I think that's very sensible. What you say there is that a 10-hour time difference is going to make a difference. That could have been a factor in it. I don't think the finances is really going to play into it that much. But it's just horses for courses, isn't it? And he's chosen to be closer to home. He's chosen not to go out there. Like you say, he's working with Garcia, and that will take time out. That's next weekend, isn't it, against Duarte? That's a week Saturday, isn't it? So there might have not been that time frame that worked for him, and so that would have taken us to December the 3rd. So it might have only given him 3 weeks, then the week of acclimatization. So what you're saying makes sense, but I don't think he could afford to have Derek James over here if he wants to, and it wouldn't surprise me to see Derek James in the frame somewhere anyway, in the camp and coming over here, because the only things that Anthony has said about Derek James have been positive. Never heard a negative word. And I think Joshua's reflected that on his social media as well.
Yeah, 100% has. One other thing though, why do you think there's no official confirmation or official, obviously he didn't do any interviews. I'm assuming he would have been asked them questions if he did. Why is there no official line on it? Do you think they don't want the backlash?
Well, why does he have to? What difference does it make?
Because he's a big name, isn't he? And fans want to know.
Why does he have to? I mean,
if a football club changes managers,
should we call him now and ask him?
Don't call him. He's really
should we call him now and ask him?
You could try, because I think it's a case of football clubs, when they change managers, it's a big story. And obviously, if he's training with somebody different, he's one of the biggest names in British boxing. I think fans would be curious.
Absolutely.
And that's not knocking it. And like yourself, I know Ben very well, so I'm just curious why is there no official line on it?
I don't know is the answer. I can't answer that. You should be doing an interview with Freddie Cunningham or Andy Bell right now. Or even Eddie.
Yeah. Eddie, will get him in a few days. The other thing, fighting Otto Warling. And again, a lot of industry insiders, people like yourself, and I've not met one person that says AJ is going to walk through him and knock him out. And I just get the feeling if it does that, AJ should be given the credit, because people in the industry are saying it's a hard fight. And then when you hear the public comments are like, why is he fighting Otto Warling? Who's Otto Warling? But Otto Warling can fight. Otto
Warling was pretty good against Tyson Fury, and it's his only loss, let's be honest. He's looked good in recent performance. I think it's a dangerous fight for Anthony Joshua. There's jeopardy involved. It's a chance for him to show where he is mentally and how good he really can be. I think he will handle Otto Wallin. I think he's got to look to get him out of there. He's got to look to be aggressive. He's got to look to work his way into the fight. He's a tricky southpaw. Let's not forget that. He's a decent fighter. He's looked good since that loss to Fury. It's not a simple fight. It's not a straightforward fight for Anthony Joshua, and I agree with you. He needs to get the credit he deserves if he comes through Wallin. He's in an unusual place in his career, and then I hope we get him against Deontay Wilder next.
And the last thing I want to speak to you about, Gareth, we saw Tyson Fury, Usyk, some great antics in the press conference. He got a lot of negative feedback, Tyson, for the stuff he said and the head-to-head thing. Obviously, you know him personally, and you know when the camera goes on, he switches, and it's almost like a showman type thing where he thinks he has to do that. Because I spoke to Usyk the next day, and he said they did the face-off. And in the face-off, he was obviously they're not released it yet, but he said he was so respectful and everything was really nice and calm. And he spoke about him and his family, his heritage, and then presser starts, boom. So I think it's worth letting people know there that, and because a lot of people are kind of judging Tyson Fury as he goes around shouting and screaming at people and threatening people, but it's for the cameras, isn't it?
Oh, he was selling the fight. If he'd been really quiet and subdued, I don't think. We'd had a big press conference the day before. Tyson was doing his thing. He was selling the fight. He was giving it the big one, and nothing more than that. It's so clear that's what he was doing. I was up with him earlier before that, and he was quiet as having his lunch. Had a long chat to members of his family. He's just selling the fight. Like he always has done. He's just being a showman. I don't think he's got anything personally against Alexander Usyk. It's all stuff on the surface. It all makes noise. It all resonates. We're in for an incredible fight with those two. It's going to be an amazing dance, a real physical chess game. Thank God we're getting the undisputed title next year. 25 years, a quarter of a century since Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield in 1999. The last time we had that. Let's just celebrate it, Yes, Tyson Fury is the showman. Yes, he's playing the villain in those parts, and that's it. It's no deeper than that. And Usyk's taking his stance, gentleman fighter, and he does his little bit of filleted trash talk afterwards in his way. It is what it is. They're just selling a very, very big fight in Saudi Arabia on February the 17th. Cannot wait for it. Undisputed Ring of Fire.
I like that. Good sell pitch there, Gareth. On that note, I'm going to let you go, and genuinely appreciate your time as always.
Always a pleasure.
Have a good week. I'm sure we'll bump into each other over the next few weeks.
Thanks very much. Boxing King Media.
Have you ever been stranded on the side of a motorway with a broken down car? Like me, is that something that worries you? That's where motor breakdown insurance comes in. If your vehicle breaks down, a trained professional will be sent out to get you back on the road. Or if this is not possible within the specified time frame, to transport you to your home or to the nearest garage.